Hello, and welcome to your Vedic Lunar Scope for today, the 8th of June, 2015. The moon today is in the sign of Pisces, and in the nakshatra, or lunar mansion as they're also known, of Shatabhisha. Shatabhisha is also known as the 100 Healers, and it's connected with the Vedic deity Varuna. Varuna is the Vedic equivalent of Neptune. He's the ocean god, but he's much more than that. And we're going to go into a little bit about Varuna here in a moment. But let's touch on the healing aspect side of Shatabhisha, because that's important as well. You know, when you get a cold or when you catch a cold bug, you get sick, and that sickness that you're getting is actually something that you need in order to cleanse the bug out of your system. And Shatabhisha is known to impose certain calamities or a type of healing crisis into our life so that we work through it and we become more whole. This is the point where we bring Varuna into the equation and talk a little bit further about Varuna. Varuna was also the ruler of universal law. He simultaneously clouded over the rules of the universe and also served justice in relation to them. So he purposefully would cloud over universal law and then reveal universal law. So then the question arises of why cloud something over and then reveal it later? Well, for the individuals incarnated here on the planet, it actually serves their strength to work through an illusion so that they then become more whole. Because within our existence, we need an individual body and that aspect of the ego, not the egotistical side of the ego, but we need an ego so that we can do the work that we're here to do on the planet. But it's when that ego thinks that it runs the show that we begin to have the problems and we get caught up in the calamity. So what Varuna wants us to know is that, you know, we're better to use our individual self in order to serve the soul. And at the point that we recognize that, that's the instant where the universal law, whatever that universal law might relate to in that particular circumstance, is revealed. That's the aspect of Varuna that we're dealing with. Shatabhisha also connects to the realization of human potential within oneself. And there can be a circumstance arising for you today where you feel as if you're coming up against a brick wall, right? And you have that sense of feeling resigned inside of yourself that something just isn't going to work out. And you're almost ready to give up. But actually, that fact that you're coming up against a brick wall may be more an illusion than it is a reality. Right? I'm not saying that all the restrictions that you face are not real. Some of the boundaries that you're coming up against are absolutely necessary in your particular circumstance, but by the same token, if you let them affect you to the extent that you further restrict yourself by simply resigning yourself to a situation and giving up, rather than having a positive attitude and just trying to roll with the flow of things as they're happening, well, if you resign to the situation, then your self-esteem is going to get affected and you're likely going to go further into the illusion that something is absolutely impossible, when actually it might be more possible than you think, maybe just with certain limitations or certain alterations of your plans, right? So some alterations, some boundaries are necessary, but it's not necessarily that you need to give up on whatever the situation is presenting you with today. It's actually Krishna Saptami today, which is the 7th day of the dark half of the moon. And because of Krishna Saptami, there's the potential that you may not be able to see options that are available to you. But a positive attitude goes a long way towards bringing further support and giving you the perspective that you need so that you're able to connect to that support. Right? The solar lunar yoga is Vishkamba, which is actually translated means support, right? And the idea here is that if you, as I was saying before, if you focus on the limitations too much, then you're going to impose further limitations on yourself that really are not necessary. It's helpful to focus on the limitations so you know what changes you need to make, but only to that extent. Don't impose further restrictions on yourself by adopting a negative belief system or a negative attitude about the situation. Now, obviously, I don't know what aspect of your life this relates to because I'd need to look at your personal birth chart in order to ascertain that. And if you would like for me to do that for you, if you have a perplexing situation going on and you need some perspective, I'm happy to do so. There's a link to my astrological services page that's down in the bottom left-hand corner of this video. If you've closed that link down already, there's also a link further down in the description area of the page. And also there's a subscribe button on the right-hand side of the page if you haven't subscribed already and you feel compelled to do so. That's going to do it for your Vedic Lunar Scope for today, the 8th of June, 2015. Until tomorrow, take the very best care of yourself. Bye for now.